I don't usually do a stream that's half commentary, half gaming. Like, I usually just boot up my game and hit stream and then just play and talk a bit. But I got some stuff I want to talk about. I guess let's get the bad out of the way first. So, I want to show y'all what it's like living in a Canadian small town that only focuses on maintenance and censorship. And so yeah, we'll take a look at this. So before we go into this, I thought this was a good post to note before we look. Someone pushing you to be better is not an attack. It is an act of love. So this is a powerful distinction. Sometimes emotional security should be respected. Sometimes the order should be respected. Sometimes honesty is more valuable. That's just how it goes. So, number one. This is a while back I saw this. It was real. This was, what, for the LCLC? Yeah, Lunenburg, you can see it under my caption. This is a real fucking thing. I don't think I'll be able to find it. Oh, but trust me, it's there. Somewhere. It was uploaded by South Shore Sexual Health. Problematic implicit and complicit values further reductive to physical security and identity, inherently hypocritically discriminating against the general belief of binary gametes being the rule with reasonable exception with no evidence of a third gamete. Like, no. It's called arithmophobia. We're not transphobic, we just, we respectfully declined. I'm gonna find this, though. I am gonna find this post. It will be here. We'll get it. We're gonna individually go through these posts and deconstruct them. Okay. Keep going. Like, Jesus Christ. Dude, all they post is sex toys? Like, Jesus. Okay, that's cool. A canon. An actual canon. That's cool. How to adult. Yeah, it's the same source of education, by the way. Help with funding applications, finding resource, supporting life change, study skills, time management, goal setting. That's definitely not completely revolvent around finances and sacrifice, because welcome to adulthood. It's everybody has chronic issues half the day, and then the other half of the day is responsibilities. That's just how it goes, right? Sacrifice is a good thing. I love how nobody in the world today understands that you need to put foundation before finances, or else thriving is impossible even if you do survive. While we're at it, breaking, a YMCA in San Francisco has been forced to change its guidelines this month after repeated complaints about a pre-op trans woman exposing male genitalia in the women's locker room throughout 2025. Witnesses reported the individual walking around fully naked, blow-drying hair while bent over in front of the mirror, and other behavior in the presence of women and children. After petitions, protests, and complaints, the YMCA posted new rules limiting nudity to brief moments while showering only. I don't know why that wasn't a strict guideline already. What the fuck? Oh my god, I found it. Okay. We want to thank Good Dog Books and Venus Envy Halifax for donating some prizes for our sex toy and sip event that happened this Saturday, the 9th of August 2025. We are so grateful for all the love and support we have gotten from the community, and will continue to promote sexual health and well-being for all, including children. So, yeah, this is the image. Sex toys and sip. Come for an evening of fun with South Shore Sexual Health. Location, Bridgewater LCLC. Have some non-alcoholic... So it's like, we're not gonna allow alcoholic drinks because kids, but we're gonna fucking shove sex toys in your eyeballs and talk everything about sex. And transgenderism. A multi-purpose room, alright, yeah. This is a safe space. You might feel it's a safe space. And so, I'm pretty sure Town of Bridgewater reposted this. Don't quote me on that one, though. So the problems are pretty glaring here. Generalized representation is not morally representable of morally representable individuals under society-derived moral criteria, such as age of consent, not being a closed-minded activist, etc., etc. And these people just don't get it. The people who support these movements, they don't understand that it's a one-sided movement. And so you try to get them to understand that it's hypocritically discriminatory and inherently discriminatory against people they feel are discriminatory that are not. But it just does not break through. The logistics do not break through. Yeah. Big problem here. This is not good. This is not good. And your tax dollars go towards this. Your tax dollars pay for transgender boob jobs. Ontario peoples, their tax money was used to pay for a double sex organ penis vagina surgery of someone based on feelings. That's what our money is being used for. That and send money to Ukraine for them to buy houses and cars. I can corroborate that pretty easily. You can Google the stats of Kiev dealerships. A U.S. Army official was wiretapped, so again, they weren't aware that they were revealing information on Ukraine corruption and fraud that then caused them to be put on administrative leave. They were also talking about nerve agents and other various things and how deadly they are. There's plenty of potential evidence here. You can go look for yourself if you want. What else? What else is taxpayer money being wasted on? I mean, you already know. It's just a general fact. Taxpayer money is being fucking wasted. And even the causes people think are genuine and humanitarian, they're not. A lot of them. And even if it is a genuine humanitarian crisis, would it exist if we were universally focusing on technological improvement and humanitarian aid? I don't think so. It's a result of corruption, collusion, intentional division, a lot of these genuine situations as well. That's not a bad post. Like, not all of it is terrible, right? But that's not the problem. That's not the point. The point isn't how much is bad. It's about position of authority. Like, where are the problems coming from? They're just fucking unreal. I wonder how many people went. Not a single like. Oh, I accidentally clicked off. Alright, we'll get out of there. I've made my point about this. Yeah, you can read that if you want to. Oh, and about this, yeah. The age of consent, 16. In 2008, Canada lifted the age of consent from 14 to 16. It was 14. That's right. The age of consent was 14 before 2008. No wonder Canada and Britain are so supportive of Muslim culture. Like, you'll have fucking BBC focus on a father selling his children young in a sympathetic way to get sympathy for the father instead of outcomes of the children. Fucking unbelievable. Think about that. Here's another one. This has to do with immigration. Unfair systemic racism doesn't exist. There is truly unreconcilable culture and financial inequality. There is financial inequality, a direct and indirect result of slavery and racism. There are ripple effects. I agree with that. But here's the thing. You don't solve for it with more racial bases. All races are equal. You can be racist to white people. All races deserve equal treatment. Like, there are genuinely effects of racism that are still alive today, but you do not solve for that with more racial bases individually. Many critics argue that attempting to correct historical injustices using modern policies based on race entrenches the very divisions that civil rights movements sought to eliminate. And you can read the other two if you want. Objective standards are important. Solving for inequality is important, but you do not do that on the basis of race when only individual racism exists today in first world countries and is strongly condemned to the highest possible extent. You're not going to claim racism when nobody has directly been racist to you, and we're going to solve that perceived racism with more racism. You're not going to call me a white supremacist when you're literally white, have white in your name, want to hold me individually accountable for shit that never concerned me because I claim that all races deserve to be treated equally now. What the fuck is that? Intentional division is causing people to believe you can't be racist to white people, and that it's not a choice between keeping our country or region or town in a position that's actually good for them so that they can actually enact lasting support. We get down this path of, oh, it's not about whether we help themselves or help them, or it's not about this person versus that person, it's not about this thing versus that thing. Yeah, no. You have to be somebody for yourself, or you can't be anybody to anyone else. That's how that works. And that's why people need to put citizens first. This DEI bullshit is just socioeconomic cope. So now we end up with people walking around with fucking knives. Huge knives for cultural purpose. Fucking huge knife there. And in Britain, an 18-year-old just got stabbed after wrongly being handcuffed when he was the one that had a crime committed against him. And the authorities are trying to cover it up. I'm pretty sure Keir Starmer just declared war on all Britain, all native Britain.
You say they should now be deported, then mark my words, we will fight you with everything we have.
So, in Canada, we're having the same shit, but nobody's really doing much about it. Over there, it's getting so bad, and then with the ULEZ cameras, they're doing something about it because, holy fuck. So Henry Nowak, 18-year-old in Britain, stabbed with a Sikh blade because of perceived disrespect, and then he is wrongfully handcuffed, presumed to be the aggressor, the instigator, because of, racism! Racism definitely is bad when the culture is actually unreconcilable and conflicting with our own values. Oh my god! Who would have guessed? Progressivism is cultural cope because the change is radical and never stops. Now they're trying to get the charges down to just manslaughter, I believe, instead of murder, manslaughter, and something else. It's like a fucked up version of triangulation between politicians and first world moderate average citizens and third world countries. If this doesn't send a message that inherited citizenship is useless, valueless, I don't know what will. It's definitely lack of resource, lack of access, why third world nations are so full of crime and rape and murder and all kinds of stuff. If you Google the IQ, skin tone, rape, murder four-way map, you're going to see a lot of overlap, and you may feel immediately it's just correlative, because us in the West, we are more fortunate, we have things. Here's the deal though, we do not control things. We do not control what should be or what is. The motto that money makes the world go around is bullshit. The world does not control money. Corruption, collusion, and intentional division is larger. Capitalism isn't cutting it anymore. Those suffering are suffering worse than anybody has before. The ones benefiting and claiming it to be reconcilable, they've never been better and more undeserving, you know. There are greedy and not greedy rich people. They can get medical treatment right away from whoever they choose. Sane countries, they make sure that the average moderate citizen can also achieve this to some extent. Products have a wait list. That's what I think. And so, where the fuck was I going with that? I'm gonna need to watch this back real quick so that I can keep myself on track, because this is massively interconnected. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we aren't the most fortunate either, and immigration can be executed well, but here's what I think is going on. Those familiar with problematic culture, they're seen as less profitable, and they are... Yeah, this would have been good to do off more sleep. Really, though. Let me think for a minute. Where I want to go with this, to talk about immigration. Like, it's not about the segregation of the family, it's about how we can make an environment for immigration to be good while still preserving our own citizens. That, like, there's a conflict here. That's not what they want to do. That's not what they want to do. They want to get rid of people who are less profitable and more aware than newcomers who will end up being exploited the same way we have, but they will still feel that it is better than, massively better than their circumstance, their previous circumstance. And so nobody really fully wins and nothing changes. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, here's a good one. All right, Hitler, right? Discriminately killed millions of Jews, right? What's worse? Direct discriminatory death of millions versus indirect, also discriminatory, financially motivated death of way more people because of intentionally corrupt policy. Because people are forced to live as batteries, a dysfunctional cog, to produce, with survival coming second and thriving never. Unless you prove your worth in materialism. Which is worse, a lifetime of suffering or death? Yep, I went there. We can help people and we can make technological advancement. Hello. So coming off the heels of making the moral argument that our current leadership in the modern day in multiple countries is worse than Hitler's direct discriminatory death with the indirect financially motivated reach, this should be interesting to hear. This should be interesting. Hot take. Well, some context. The Philippines is now looking to join China, Vietnam, and Iran, holding those engaging in political corruption accountable with capital punishment, while Iran and Indonesia are doing the same only in extreme cases. Here's a hot take. My opinion is that complicit political corruption or direct political corruption of a certain degree should be capital crime, but implicit, not so much, and severity depends. Like, are you killing more people than what you're worth? Or is it, like, fixable? Is it manageable? Here's something. Why have cancer treatments not evolved yet? Why have solar panels not evolved yet to be able to give people more control over their lives, more freedom? Why has AI been selectively funded so that it will be used as degenerate as possible and then condemned by the general public so that we will keep working for generations when the inherent goal of AI is definitely practical and moral? Nobody wants to pay a subscription for what is more tenuous to get the desired result or outcome than a Google search. A subscription for worse trial and error versus actual automation. I'm just going full in on this one because it made me think about how the whole world connects in terms of how people view humanitarian aid, how people view technological advancement, how people view corruption in general. It's very limited. You know, people, they will see something that blatantly screams politics is all bullshit. It's a performative stage. And even the implicit, complicit leaders, they're victims as well. They worry about money as well. Not all of them are greedy. They're part of the problem, but they're not the source. The source is the collective material reality, progressive material degeneracy, moral financial contradiction, inorganic cultural normalcy, the pushing of values and duties and sacrifice and acceptance and pretending that our parents never even fucking wanted in the first place. And automation before AI was even around. And so people will discover all kinds of shit that makes them convinced that politics is bullshit, and they'd be right. But then they flip-flop back and forth between believing in politics and not based on what they see. It's really something. And, so back to specifically into immigration. What else can I add? Let me get up for a minute. I got a good fucking picture that I posted. Oh, let's go. Let's go look at this. Let's go look at this. Yeah. Okay, this is funny. This is funny. Oh, this is a post I needed to make. Yeah. You can read this if you want to. It's some of the points I already made. Crime is crime. Lack of skills, lack of skill. Yeah, I already said all of this. This is a funny image, though. Bro is actually making a difference. So this is the image I was looking for. This is really good. So you got... I don't even know the places' names. I can't remember. Is this Mexico and India? I think so. Maybe. Could be wrong. Probably wrong. But yeah. This is what happens. This is pretty much what happens. And that's all that needs to be said about that, pretty much, I guess. Immigration. You can definitely do it in a good way. I'm not against it. I'm not anti-immigrant. I have immigrant friends that are actually intelligent and respectful, cleanly. Point is, we are paying for our own ethnic replacement. We are paying with our tax dollars for our own expunging, our own erasure. So we can close that one. This one was really bad, in my opinion. This was really bad. Yeah, this adds to a previous point. So, generalized representation not morally representative of morally representable individuals. And if you are morally representable, why do you need moral representation? How can you not represent yourself if you're morally representable? If you know you're morally representable, you're going to have no problem representing yourself. And people will be fine with that. So I don't understand why people think that generalized representation is genuine support or good or, whatever. There's the inherent inequality of it that's reverse engineered, and there's the practical outcome and the belief both are imbalanced. I still think the government doesn't care about your identity or inadequacy. They're just giving you what you want, validating you, so you're falling further into physical insecurity than most do, because it's average to not accept your physical body as you grow. People eat unhealthy and they get addicted to substances. This can quickly lead to alienation of your body, but instead of using lifestyle and mindset and substances, same line, and effort to become accepting of your body, people just sell themselves out. Disingenuous support that hinges on people wanting to avoid being controversial, ignorant of the damage of validation and affirmation. This is sickening to still see my town in the big 2026. You just don't get it. If respect is agreeance, we don't live in a free country, and this entire movement is psyops to bridge disagreement to vilification and call it a free country for those who believe in this stuff. And anyone who disagrees, you get to decide what they are, because the law supports it. And giving $200 million to solely black organizations, Mark Miller, or unfairly giving a 12-month refugee income program to those who identify a certain way, meanwhile real, genuine, average, moderate, white, Canadian-born male citizens are having more financial incentive to use medically assisted induced death. And then look at immigration as well. People are getting in 5 months without sacrifice what people their whole lives here haven't gotten with sacrifice. It's wicked. It's not wrong to hate. If hate has no use, life is meaningless, because life is meaningless without conflict. Fuck your trans day of visibility. This town is implicitly, hypocritically, inherently discriminatory against general viewpoints. Arithmophobia. There are 2 gametes. End of story. So this goes into more of this similar stuff, but there might be some new points. Let's. Is there anybody in chat? Probably not. Nobody watches me anyway. Yeah, nobody watches me. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know why I was advocating. Like, we shouldn't be representing this movement positively. We shouldn't. But I'm playing devil's advocate, a politically correct hive mind. Not the will of the people anymore. Hasn't been for a long... I don't think it ever was. Not with capitalism. Everybody talking about stuff like the Iran war, which lasted an unbelievably short amount of time. Well, it's still going on right now. This was 2025. In 2026, it's still going on. And, you know, the Strait of Hormuz is going to open. Huge agreement just happened with Trump. But I imagine things are gonna get explodey, like Asmongold said, as soon as it is open. World gotta run, but conflict and tension is still massive. Yeah, ignorance is like a positive mindset now, and I don't understand it. We're now pretending... They slowly took everything but survival out of life without you realizing, while these more arbitrary things are talked about. Economy just kind of does its thing behind the scenes, with everybody believing you need to put money above yourself because of necessity. We're now pretending everything that's necessary is also good. No, it's not. I hate to burst your bubble, Gen X, but with how things are looking right now, not just one statistic, but the entire economic climate of Canada, financial independence might become a necessity for one, but it will never be a good thing for my generation again. Not in all aspects of life. I have a video talking about this all on... I have a lot of videos talking about all this on my YouTube, where I fully explore these ideas. I don't like to get into big tangents, but I do anyway, because that's just how it goes. I try to be interconnected and concise, though. It's not delusional or a problem with your mindset or anything you need to change yourself. We all have bad familial history and physicality, and the economic reality is real. It's not delusional or a problem with your mindset or anything you need to change yourself to believe that Canada is now unlivable, and that at this point it's more the country's fault than your own. They really did take everything out of life except for survivability over time. And then people who are sellouts, people with cult fan bases who don't deserve it, Jake Paul, Billie Eilish, Sabrina Carpenter. There's plenty of good examples out there, male and female. These people, they're sellouts. Ideologically, biologically, all kinds of different ways. The only guiding force is culture and government, regardless of how bad and not what should be. Clearly for division. It's important to take care of yourself. I guess that's it for that one. So the same town that can afford a yearly pride parade to celebrate that can't get more staff when they decide to close down the woods and fine people who walk into the woods. This was proven to be unlawful, by the way. A Supreme Court ruled that this is unlawful, and the fines that people have gotten for going into the woods during this time, they will be undone. This was complete fucking bullshit. Obviously hold idiots accountable for being idiots. Do not punitively punish the general public. Next one. Yeah, this kind of pissed me off. They're posting to Facebook about traffic lights being shut down as if that's a useful, productive spending of time. And they only get a couple likes, like maybe a handful of likes and comments. They're wasting energy and resource on this. Your tax dollars. So I comment. Reminder to everyone in this comment section that you can identify as a... Yeah, this is the same point I already made. But the new bit of information here is the contrast between what Canada offers on a federal level compared to... And how our municipality enforces this. The federal policy. And then contrast that with this use of time and the amount of engagement that it gets. That's what I'm doing here. That's what's new about this one. It's not just repeat. Next one. Hey, let's do heavy construction on our most frequently visited and photographed park for several years, making it look like an absolute construction clusterfuck. Eyesore only to provide the utility of seasonal public washrooms. Amazing investment, millions of dollars. Sorry guys, it's all we can do considering the majority of Canada wants us to give the infallible, one-sided, authoritarian, identity politic crazies and illegal criminals a handout that is greater than what the average citizen can earn. Sorry guys, we couldn't afford more. Although, look at our glowing fountain that's tens of thousands of dollars. Ooh. Oh wait, it's gone, and now the town is smelly and dirty and not safe at night. Bridgewater isn't safe. They're more focused on gender violence than actually improving our town. I'd go to public council if the speech wasn't compelled and topic controlled. Moving on. This is the first of the many town hearings that I've tuned into that literally nobody else comments on, with these people circling around federal issues, and even if there is legit, zoning issues or zoning concerns, and that's great. That I'm not going to argue with that. That's good. That needs to be recognized as a productive use of time. But you also have to realize they're not doing anything, like they're just being implicit and complicit with all this problematic ideology at the same time. It's not good. Not a good look. Because nobody puts them on the hook. Nobody does. Everybody's too busy. No, they expect people... it's like, the public can engage with these council meetings whenever they want. Here's a reason. Here, I'm going to read what I told my mother. A perfectly reasonable question. Who the fuck can afford to in time? Contrast that with the fact jobs are designed to limit you to one path, and more ghost jobs exist than ever. A lot of positions just exist to be work. A lot of positions are positions of perceived power, like all these sellouts and clowns sitting here. There are positions that do inherently contribute greatly to society. Surgeons, EMS, like all kinds of different stuff. Yeah, there's tons of contribution to society, but there's equal as much problematic nature and disingenuous nature. You can read that if you want. I'm not going to. It's more the same that I've already talked about. Moving on. What is this about? Okay. Teen accused in Nova Scotia school attack plot. Teen accused in Nova Scotia school attack plot to remain in custody ahead of bail hearing. A 15-year-old Nova Scotian teen has been charged in connection with an alleged plot to carry out school attacks, will remain in custody for at least another month while awaiting a bail hearing. There's another 14-year-old involved. The original 15-year-old teen, identified as female initially, now uses he and him pronouns. That's definitely to garner sympathy. That's definitely to get out of it. That intent is clear. I want to get out of this punishment. so I'm going to use controversial topics. They were going to attack Bridgewater School and other schools. They arrested the teen. They found imitation weapons, pipe bomb replica, appeared in court, background report to be completed. The Crown opposes release, though that position could change depending on the plan presented by the defense. Prosecutors noted the investigation is ongoing. Additional evidence may emerge as police continue. To the people commenting purely because this post mentions the fact one of the individuals involved is gender divergent, trans, or queer in some way, please recognize that someone's gender identity does not matter when it comes to being in distress or being a danger to others. Anyone has the capacity for violence, and trans folk are at a much higher risk of being assaulted, abused, or taken advantage of than their cisgender peers. My mic is going fine, good. Just wanted to make sure. Not to mention the fact that stating their gender identity and biological sex was entirely unnecessary in the context of this event. To the folks preaching mental health supports for youth are lacking, you're right. But it's not quite for the reason so many are saying. Queer kids desperately need more support, safe spaces to communicate with their peers and see elder queer folks being present for more vulnerable members of our community. They need places to gather and socialize, commiserate about how terrifying it is to be a queer. In a small town full of small-minded people, we are actively losing our community's queer youth and to suicide due to loneliness our kids are experiencing. We've lost 4 this year alone. Be grateful they were found, caught, and are in the process of being given consequences. I don't believe it was necessary to out this literal child as trans on the internet. It's bigger than them. It's bigger than them. And about this implicit and complicit person, I'm getting to that. Here's my reply. I'll continue reading that in a second. I'm struggling to find the exact moment this happened, but I just quite distinctly remember it. Either way, this definitely did happen, so I don't need the video. The same problem I'm describing still applies. These people feel the gender ideology is not at all relevant. I can see why most people would let that slide. But here's the thing, they're still contributing to intentional division. It absolutely does if you force ideology and identity politics on those referring to the shooter who disagree with how you refer to them. If agreement is respect, not everybody is entitled to their own opinion. You can't force someone to not go against their own beliefs and agree with what is subjective. I believe the identity of the shooter is the same if we're talking about sex and name, as when they were born. If you support this identity politics nonsense, you're inherently political, and you're gonna have people that disagree with you, and you must accept that if you're not one-sided. So, yeah, there was a video of a police officer referring to the shooter, how they wanted to be referred to after the shooting, when it's pretty evident that the shooter used identity politics and controversy as a way to shield themselves from accountability. So now the police are complicit and supportive of the shooter. That is the argument. What you don't, and it is respecting the shooter. You're respecting the shooter. Yep. You are respecting a potential school shooter as a lawyer. That's fucking sad. What you don't understand is if you adhere to identity politics and refer to the shooter how they want to be referred to, because you're scared of controversy, you're not just actually inherently supporting the shooter, you are inherently respecting the shooter. Why the fuck are we respecting a shooter's wishes comprised from and founded on feelings alone? If it's hateful to believe there's two genders and openly disagree with that when there's a trending tragedy, because let's not pretend that none of this is systemic issues, when the ideology is supported, then do we really live in a free country? I'm not arguing for there to not be individual consequences either, because I feel that is still due, but I think people think they're avoiding controversy when they're contributing to it because the intent behind the dysphoria hasn't been determined yet. I am not arguing for there to be no individual consequences either, because I feel that is still due, but I think it's also okay when authorities inherently support and respect the shooter's identity and person by extent. Okay, I guess I should have said I don't feel it's okay to support and respect the shooter's identity and person by extension because of their own ignorance or beliefs that you can control the response to when it's highly subjective and debatable. The topic of identity. Don't support or respect shooters. The government doesn't care about your... Yeah, same stuff. I'm not... Yep. Yep, more of the same. Alright. That's the... Every day we respond to systemic failure with individual consequences. Not that they aren't due. That's a great point. And then this is the last post I commented on about this, relevant to this topic. If you plan an adult crime, should you be doing adult time? Should the PVEC shooter suspect be tried as a minor or an adult? Should be tried as an adult, but with several considerations and stipulations. I think this is at least 10% the blame of Canada as a whole for prioritizing perception and emotion over merit and reason. Everyone is struggling so hard. Supposed marginalized groups get... Yeah, more of the same. Points I've already made. Those with lower standards feel they're doing good for others by compromising our own interests. Safety, community. Death of community is real. Technology is cool and useful, though. We can't act like this isn't isolated to the town, or like the people running the town have more power than they actually do. They're limited by society that we are within. But when money and emotion become sole driving factors, things are not good, man. Things are not good. Moving on. Only a couple left now, that's good. So, council meeting tonight. Meeting at the town hall. Yeah, I don't know what they were specifically talking. Probably something really specific. One like and two shares. It doesn't seem like the town cares much about getting involved with the preservation of itself or the expansion of itself. But hey, I doubt anybody has the freedom or ability really with cost of living. And look at all the places the government and education asserts itself in place of a parent. And vice versa, parents expect systems to fill their boots. Like everything, all intent, yeah. People are ideologically captured. Chronic justification. So yeah, it's kind of a catch-22. They talk about getting the public to come join these events, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Okay, a couple days ago, they posted about a water main being down. Yeah. Something like that. Water service notice. And they weren't allowing comments. They turned off comments. They limited them. Guess who is the only person who consistently comments on these posts? And if that's wrong, I don't think anybody consistently comments on the town page more than I do. People feel that it will be a waste of time, or it will be perceived as wrong or bad. We see all the wrong good things as bad. Whenever the relevant topic is somebody's lived experience, consumerist choice, any kind of choice, as soon as you say something bad about anything in society, you're either going to be seen as wrong or bad. McDonald's, even if you tried to change it, not get rid of it, people are going to come out of the woodwork to defend it. Makes the Big Arch video look so much more shitty when you realize McDonald's fries, because the oil that they're fried in, the way that they're fried, the way that it's heated up, it causes a chemical transformation, and then those fries, a 3-year-old can walk in with their family, sit down, and eat the inflammatory equivalents of 30 cigarettes. I'm not saying it's doing the same damage as 30 cigarettes exactly. I'm saying it has certain compounds like unsaturated, saturated, what is it? What is it? Yeah. Alpha, beta, unsaturated aldehydes. This is really bad. And another one, 4-HNE. When the fats in the oils used break down from heat, it turns into these. And it's extremely inflammatory. Extremely. And then I want to throw another thing in here about society. Think of how much they get you to sit in the run of a day. Build up lactic acid for free. We are programmed, my dudes. I mean, you sit when you eat breakfast. You sit to go to work. You sit at work. You sit after work to eat again. You sit to relax even more. Like, people are just being programmed into sedentary lifestyle. Another thing about McDonald's. The food has been shown to dysregulate up to 100 genes in the hypothalamus, I think it is. But the point is, anything you talk down on, people are going to come out of the woodwork to defend. Whether it's problematic consumerism or not. People are too obsessed with consumption method and not enough with chemicals. I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean chemistry. Chemistry. And physics and science, all general science. Where was that coming back to in terms of municipality? So yeah, people feel that it's a waste of time for you to invest into engage with anything controversial, pretty much. So this is a recent one. Town of Bridgewater is looking for committee members. The Town of Bridgewater is currently seeking enthusiastic, interested residents to serve on a few of the town's volunteer committees. These committees provide a vital service to council by providing advice and or recommendations on important community issues which help to shape the town. The town is committed to diversity and inclusion and encourage all interested residents to apply. We are currently recruiting members for the following committees: Arts, Culture, and Museums Advisory Committee, Policies, Programs, Strategic Planning related to Arts, Culture, Museums, Mandates, Storytelling, Sponsorships, Equity and Inclusion Efforts, Decolonization, that's a big one, we're going to talk about that, because I up here. And cultural programming. Wait. I didn't even see that one earlier. That's a new one. Cultural programming. That doesn't raise any red alarms at all. Yep. Okay. And that's clearly sarcasm. That is fucked. Cultural programming. Bitch, what the fuck? Why are we culturally programming? What? So this can be viewed in two lights, and no in between. It's either you think, like, organizations, groups, support, you implicitly, complicitly, inherently, whatever, you think of it as genuine support when it's not. Or you see it as what it really is. Controlling the masses. This is a legit one, transportation, but it's only one thing. It's not relevant to the entire town outside of transportation. I mean, it's a big thing, yeah. It's a good thing, yeah. Parks, recreation, and active transportation. That's not a bad department, I wouldn't say. I guess it depends on how you go about it. A good program to have, honestly. I can't argue with that. Heritage Advisory Committee. The committee advises council on issues related to the designation of buildings, streetscapes, and areas within town as heritage properties. The committee also advises on applications to substantially alter or demolish a heritage property. I wonder if that's make everything foreign or just general decide our own heritage. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that. I'm not going to open that can of worms right now or say that it's bad or good. But heritage is important, yes. So here's what I said to this. Yes, decolonization is increasingly shit, I don't feel good. Yes, decolonization is increasingly utilized by populist figures for socioeconomic coping, both as a genuine framework for marginalized groups and as a co-opted political tool by right-wing leaders to manage anxiety over downward economic mobility. I mean, decolonization can be wrongly used by everybody, and I don't think it's good. These committees provide a vital service by providing advice and or recommendations. The town is committed to diversity and inclusion, and I put in parentheses, at the expense of order and reconcilable culture and safety, efficiency. In other words, even if we can't handle more people, we will take more people, and even if culture is truly unreconcilable, we don't care. Even if this person is not proficient, we will still hire them. Even if this person is a deplorable criminal who should be punished to the fullest extent of the law, if not morality itself, we're just gonna see the human in them that we want to see, because we need to humanize everybody. Let me be clear that decolonization is just polarizing and practically ambiguous. So in other words, yeah, what I already said. Socioeconomics, from what I can tell, is a self-esteem shield, an avoidance of freedom, an excuse for mediocrity, and a justification for inequality. Whether you're a beneficiary or the opposite. It's emotional-based thinking. I don't see how it's serving much importance. I wouldn't want to limit myself to these talking points in a position of perceived power where any criticism of practical ambiguity or unreconcilability, if we can't prioritize our own citizens to then enact lasting support to help people, yeah, it's not good. Boot filling for the transportation department and DEI at its finest. Municipal leaders deserve grace for what they're practically limited to, but they're not evidently doing anything to combat problematic federal policy. They're just trying to make themselves feel good about their positions. Pretty much. Unfortunately. I don't know why there's nothing in place to keep these people on the hook. Like, we get it. You can't do much about big issues. But at the same time, what is in your control, you're completely going tits up. Except maintenance, because you gotta give credit where it's due. Okay, that brings me to tonight. What is that ad, bro? I wasn't going to, but
It's a beautiful day.
I'm gonna rewatch this whole thing without skipping this time.
When that was opened up, they're great washrooms. This is an
But it's
example of
boring,
what
so I'm gonna be on my phone.
advice on. One of the committee members also visited the park to give additional advice before it was completed. We've given advice on designs for Sawpit Wharf and Modal and Civic Square in the town of Lunenburg. We had a lot to say about initial designs of these projects, and we believe that feedback was supportive of more accessible designs.
Accessibility is good, depends on what it is, though.
In the work. We've highlighted 3 foundational ones that make accessibility work challenging everywhere, not just here in Lunenburg County. First, they're just gaps in knowledge around accessibility. People don't always know when we need to think about and what to think about problems when we find them. I have a great example from a colleague of mine who is a person living using a wheelchair, is a wheelchair user, and uses a McDonald's, and they have an accessible entrance with a ramp, and they have an accessible parking spot on the opposite side of the parking lot. And though that ticks the boxes of accessibility, the actual usability of that doesn't work for a person using a wheelchair in February when there's snow on the ground. Second, there's often concern about the actual perceived cost of making things accessible. We know that there can be increased costs compared with designs that do not consider accessibility. We also know that this is not always the case, and that intentional planning that considers accessibility often
Most of this stuff is gonna be positive and productive.
does not result in increased cost. We also know that when we don't include accessibility in our designs, we knowingly exclude members of our community. I'd also like to just note that while accessibility benefits people with disabilities, accessibility benefits everybody. An example would be cut curbs. Of course, if you're a wheelchair user, it makes it easier to get into a crosswalk, but that same accessibility feature also benefits parents pushing strollers or people towing luggage. And so accessibility isn't just a benefit for people with disabilities, but it's a benefit for the community in general. And then finally, a key challenge with accessibility work is that the people who most understand the barriers, those with disabilities and those who have close relationships with them, are often not represented amongst decision makers. So unless we are intentionally pulling these folks into the process, we don't have all of the information we need to make good decisions that will work for them, which is why one of the main slogans is "Nothing about us without us." Another set of challenges related to process are some challenges we've identified include councils knowing that they can ask us for advice. So we are we're here, like saying we're here. We want you to know we're here. We want you to come to us for advice. We want you to come consult with us. We don't hear from councils as often as we would like, and we would very much like to provide our advice for you all. Under expectations, we mean that we don't always have a great understanding of what you as
You should also want to receive advice.
councilors and municipalities hope to get from us as the committee. We have a lot of collective knowledge and experience, and we want to know what expectations you have for us as well.
That's good. Yeah, okay, I didn't see that I didn't pay attention to this part last time. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's good.
And then communication. How would you like to hear from us? Would you welcome unsolicited
So yeah, naturally I reciprocate that sentiment.
advice? Should we only respond when you ask us for our feedback? We volunteer our time and expertise and hope that we can support you to make our communities more accessible. These foundational and more process-oriented challenges make it difficult but not impossible to help make change happen. We want to work with you to decrease the impact of these challenges.
I think Oh yeah, I went to Google the word opportune to see if I was using it correctly.
So, a reminder, people with disabilities make up over 37% of the population here in Nova Scotia, and are not proportionately represented amongst decision makers. Our committee can bring these perspectives, including the expertise that comes from personal experience and close connection with disability and accessibility. And as we said, it's perspectives you don't necessarily already have at your tables.
What does that even mean?
Our connection with disability and accessibility. And as we said, it's perspectives you don't necessarily already have at your tables.
Oh yeah, probably referring to the February thing, like, oh, you can't access a certain spot, even though it's made for that when there's snow on the ground. But that's just kind of a given, right? Like, what can you do about that, really? I mean, you can do some things, I guess, yeah. It's a good thing to tackle.
We use several lenses when we considering advice. We use an accessibility lens that considers how the results of a decision will impact the experience of people with varying disabilities. We use a lens of intersectionality to consider how other identities such as race, sexual orientation, gender identity, socioeconomic status, and other identities that person may identify with could intersect and impact the experience of the person living with a disability in respect to our decisions. And we use a human rights lens. It's foundational. Accessibility is a human rights, and it means that we recognize that people with disabilities are entitled to the same rights as other people. We consider whether the outcome of the decisions that we make respect those rights.
Depends on what the rights are and if they're actually rights.
Really just ask for advice. Remember that we're here and that we're eager to do the work, and we want to make an impact in our communities that we live in and we care so deeply about.
That goes both ways for the community itself and for the authority figures in it.
And tell us your thoughts, how we can work better together, how
I do, and I get censored.
you think the Accessibility Advisory Committee can support the town of Bridgewater and create that really inclusive community where everybody has an opportunity to feel that way.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I guess a question for the CAO. So it was, you've identified some challenges with the process around communication and awareness, things like that. So is there something we're going to do to ensure we clarify that going forward?
Well, I think that, certainly Ellen is kind of our conduit to the committee, and I know that when staff are working on projects, and I think it's just a reminder for staff when working on projects, whether they be communication pieces or policy or check-in with Ellen, who can then bring it to the committee if it's felt that it belongs with the discussion with the committee. Council can also listen to it, certainly can refer matters to the committee, because the committee was really established to have matters referred to it, to advise council on matters. So we really use as staff more for that kind of resource, staff to staff. But there may be policy issues for council, and just remembering that that channel is there to seek that input.
So that was a long roundabout way of saying, hey, we can be audited.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much.
As far as I understand it.
Appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Conduit of information.
And now we are moving into a public hearing, and I'm going to fumble this a lot, so bear with me. So I need to recess the regular meeting of Town Council and open the public hearing. Have I done that correctly so far? Okay.
Half of these are always talking about problems and stuff. Half of it is always talking about due process. And using the most articulate words possible, because we can.
Agenda is a separate agenda, so if you're looking at the package at home or wherever you are, it is a separate agenda. And we have that in front of us, mine's really small, but we're gonna go with the flow. Do I need to go through the agenda?
Oh, I would use that one there. And, yeah.
So do I review the agenda and each of the points in it?
Yep, so I would, I think we just need to confirm that all statutory requirements are met, and then we can just go right into the agenda and have
Okay.
a plan of doing.
What are the requirements to talk about
So all
the
statutory requirements have been met.
agenda? We don't even know what it is.
And then the first step will be an overview by the applicant, which is the town.
Yeah.
Still on the right track?
Yes, that's right. We are the applicant in this case.
Right.
And I think Nick Brown will be presenting kind of what the proposed amendments are.
You represent the town. Why do you need to say that the town is the applicant of something? We already know this. You represent the town.
And then at the end of that, that's when you would receive questions from council tonight.
Okay,
We don't even know what they're talking about yet.
that was the agenda review I was supposed to do, right?
We're halfway through.
What
We're
she
like
said.
10 minutes in.
Mr. Brown, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. So yeah, this evening, Council will be considering concurrent amendments to the municipal planning strategy and subdivision.
I don't know if it. I don't. She bring up socioeconomics. She did, and no, I don't agree with that.
Bylaw with respect to parkland dedication.
This is a good point. I've made it through this whole video. It's not just leniency, it's humanizing.
First, considerations held at the regular council meeting on August 27, 2026. Staff are recommending that council approve the amendments. And there are two parts to this amendment package. So firstly, the evaluation criteria through an addition to the definition of usable land and a map schedule of the subdivision bylaw, where land can only be considered where it is located outside of the 800-meter distance of existing parkland per the zoning map. Secondly, the requirement for an area of usable land or cash of equivalent value. Within this discussion and consideration of these amendments is the definition of usable 60 square feet or more, and that's 1 acre in the form of cash. For context, to get to 1 acre, based on the 5% requirement, we envision a subdivision proposing 10,000 square foot lots. The number of new lots proposed would have to be 80 lots. The bylaws changed to a 10% requirement. The number of new lots proposed less, closer to 40. Still a relatively large subdivision, mainly available in underdeveloped sections. So firstly, the dedication must amount to a 1 acre parcel of land to be an option. During Council's first consideration of these amendments, there were questions and discussion concerning
Itchy nose.
and its connection to a 400-meter target for walking distance to parks, which represents a 5-minute walk. When considering two parks,
Itchy nose.
be ideally within 400 meters walking distance for residents. 800-meter separation distances.
So this, what I'm about to add is kind of meaningless, but like I wanted to be positive at the same time since I was being so polarizing and open. Bro's talking about parks. I'm like, yeah, this town got great parks, man. Like, and we're not busy, right? So the parks are really enjoyable. They're really great. They're awesome. Not a huge populace here in Bridgewater. I mean, it's always getting bigger though. It is. It's pretty busy in rush hour.
Used. This is to create the condition that would eventually see every This slide illustrates how having 800 meters between parks gives residents opportunity to access at least one park at or within 400 meters, regardless of where the home is located between the two roads.
It's a great idea. I like this
The
idea.
second main part to these amendments relates to the amount of parkland dedication requirement through subdivision. The change will amount to an area of usable land or cash of equivalent value within the subdivision equal to 10% of the area of the lots to be approved, rather than the 5% required today.
Okay, so what I think he's saying is they're gonna make a subdivision, they're gonna split two big pieces of land, and then either 5% dedication in land or cash with 80 plots of land or like lots or whatever, or 40 with 10%. Bro, I mean, that sounds more appropriate, but why does it need to be explained in such a complicated manner on purpose? Why? Why? We have nice parks, maybe add a few extra ones. You don't need a park everywhere for everybody. We should be trying to drive more business that isn't just materialism, like a third Dollarama. Like most of the shit you buy in there is unhealthy for you, and we're getting a third one. Hell, invest in getting some stores around, get the developers to do that actually people are gonna shop at. Make more dedicated, nuanced places where you can do specialized things, not just parks. Like, I remember when a 3D printer first came to the LCLC, that felt like real innovation. Why are the town's rumors, like, in the community, always better than the actual outcome for certain places? So, like, we lost Cineplex, we lost all kinds of different nice places. People were saying, oh, there's gonna be a rock climbing place there. Nope, that never happened, but that would be cool as fuck.
The concern with this change on the part of the developers is the cost. Whether land or cash, this increase to a 10% land or cash dedication impacts profitability or cost effectiveness of the project.
But what is the practical benefit of more lots?
This was discussed with developers and subdividers through the consultation process related to this amendment.
Why do we need
process.
that? We have plenty of fucking parking lots.
However, staff believe the benefit outweighs the concern.
Why?
This increase to a 10% dedication, increase to a 10% dedication.
In
the
what?
form of cash will help with council's intention to improve the quality of the town's open spaces. If cash.
But it's got enough open. We got enough open space.
Municipal Government Act, Section 273, subsection.
Then I went to like Google something like related to my physical situation, cause I'm like not okay and shit. I guess lots for parks if they're gonna add more parks. That makes sense. 80 though? 80 with 5%? 40 with 10%? Bro, you don't need that many.
When receiving cash, the funds are directed to a dedicated parks reserve per policy 21 and redistributed based on the parks improvement plan and other capital budget initiatives.
If I understand that right, like I could be missing something.
With that,
Try to be positive and
Comments from the public. There were no written submission to close the public hearing. Come back into regular session enacted. Is that correct?
We'll put a notice of approval in the paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
so they're trying to close the meeting now
Are there any closing
and go
remarks?
back to a regular session without the cam,
Okay.
I guess.
So we'll close the public hearing and move back into council.
Yeah, reconvene.
Reconvene, okay. And do I need a motion to reconvene?
No.
Okay. And so, is there a time for council to ask questions? Have I missed?
Yeah, council can ask questions, yeah, of the planner if you have any.
Okay, is that out of the public hearing or should it have been within?
It could have been in, but it's okay to ask it outside.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not new information being received, so.
Right, okay.
You're just asking for clarification, yeah.
Okay, so we're back in regular council meeting, if anybody missed my, yeah, where I was going with that.
Laugh
are
it
there
up.
Any questions or comments?
Y'all are comfortable, the rest of the town isn't. The sooner the liberal federal leadership gets out of power, the sooner we can focus on enjoying all aspects of life in this town again.
Review, okay. If there aren't, then we are looking for a motion.
Yeah.
Is
I
there-
move the town council for the town of Bridgewater
Including valid criticism.
conduct second and final reading of bylaw 231, a bylaw to amend the municipal planning strategy and subdivision bylaw pursuant to section 205 and 206 of the Municipal Government Act, as contained in Appendix A of document 26-021A, dated May.
It's not because I'm a conservative or because I'm a believer in politics. It's because if you look at the individual nature of each leader in said cabinet, are they really trustworthy? No. You gotta look at it as an individual person. Like each leader.
25th, 2026, for concurrent amendments with respect to subdivision and parkland dedication.
I'm not complaining about more parks though. I'm not gonna complain about more parks, especially if they're good ones. I don't mean Pigeon Squeak Park, whatever it's called, by the old bridge there. It's just an extra pathway. It's not an actual park. It's just a little place. I doubt you can call it a park. But yet there's a sign for it and everything that lights up.
Thank you. And a seconder? Conklin, thank you. All of those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you for your patience. I made,
The Sunset Park, like down towards La Have, it's not very far though. That's probably the nicest park in my opinion.
that as hard as it could be.
If you discount the trails as a park. Because those are nice too.
And we're down to the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 11th, 2026. Are there any errors or omissions? If not, we're looking for a motion to approve those minutes. Councilor Cheer, seconded by Councilor Wynod. And just as a note that the minutes of all the committees, commissions of the town of Bridgewater can be found on the town's website. Any further conversation? Then all those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. We have no
Look at how
first-
they're acting. Like, if you look at this entire interaction. Dude, it's so overzealous. It's so cheesy. It's so unnecessarily formal.
Funds for information. Oh, we
And like I said, half of it is just talking about due process.
correspondence for information. I was just going to skip that and just keep it moving. 7.1, document 26-072. We have email correspondence from Jerry Jodry.
Jesus Christ. Just say you have an email. Oh my god.
Regarding health hazards of radon. And
That is a real concern though.
some information has been provided to him, including good for the public to know that free kits can be picked up at the library or the MLA's office, and there are a number of free resources available. Jerry?
Yeah, like me. I'll work for free. Y'all won't want me though because I'm too controversial.
Has made some suggestions for things that he would like to see happen or would suggest are considered. And if any members of council want to pursue any possible action, we would need a motion to direct staff to whatever you want to see them do.
I wonder what these people do outside of their job.
At this meeting or a future meeting. But right now it's correspondence for information. If there's nothing to discuss, we can move on.
So awkward. Like, what the fuck?
So 7.2, document 26-075 is a letter from the Nova Scotia Minister of Emergency Management, providing 12-month notice on some changes around fire services, which we have seen before.
That's correct. Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, just that they're, over the course of the next year, they're going to be looking at developing a toolkit that can help do a risk assessment for fire services within municipalities, and it will help shape the reviews that are going to be required. And again, the reviews, it's 12-month notice, so it would be in 27-28 that municipalities would be required to commence that work. We are,
Aren't municipalities already supposed to be focused on fire safety? That was a whole lot of nothing.
June 15th, when I received a review from our fire services for the underwriter's report, which establishes our insurance rating, but also ops review that was done for fire services. Can't comment at this point whether or not that's going to meet the test of a review until we see what exactly they'll be looking for as part of that risk assessment.
Bro, what?
That municipalities would be required to commence that work, do fire services within municipality toolkit that can help do a risk assessment for.
Okay, define this toolkit. What is this toolkit related to fire safety within municipalities that needs a review? And how do we not already have one? You're not saying anything.
Fire service, we are, can't read on.
Any questions?
A bunch. A lot.
Correspondence for action, 8.1, it's document 26-076, policy 81, flag flying request for flag raising of the Philippines national flag on June.
At this point, I realized my comments were removed, so I joined back.
Okay, any questions? Comments?
Good old censorship. Yep.
I sure would.
I move the town council for the town of Bridgewater
So disappointing.
request from the Filipino Community Association of the South Shore to raise the Philippines national flag on June 12th, 2000.
Whoa.
Beautiful day.
Move the town council for the town of Bridgewater approve the request from the Filipino Community Association.
Filipino Community Association. We should take some notes. The Philippines looking to enact capital punishment for severe political corruption. Keyword being severe. The implications have to be greater than that of the value of the few on the many. To a point where you're either causing mass suffering or mass death. Directly or complicitly. Again, I think if it's implicit or it's not severe, shouldn't be a capital crime. But if it meets a certain threshold, absolutely. Humans are animals. The difference between me and nihilism is neither should die, but there's a natural order to things. You can't just do whatever. Leave ideas in the comments for me to deservingly defile in an interconnected, concise, moral way. As for now, that's it. Remember, the biggest culprit of all here isn't just municipal leaders, it's not even just politicians, this globalist, populist, progressive agenda, or a few select countries that are too big for their own britches. It's
more powerful than nature or life itself. It's profit and loss, supply and demand, the elegant flow of currency across the globe. We're just cogs in a great machine. And we all have our part to play. Because corporations must still grow. Money must still be made. The machine must still be fed. That is the way of the world.
capitalism. Be sure to check out my Instagram. Be sure to check out my TikTok where I post deep shit and some funny shit. You can join my Discord server if you'd like. It's not much, but it's something. Like and sub. My name means to conquer. You can help me do this by making me the most subscribed Vince on YouTube. Also, I have a music channel now. I am starting to release Juice WRLD inspired music. I'm openly inspired by Juice WRLD, and I've been working on a lot of cool shit there. So check that out if you're interested. Everybody have a good night or day. Cheers.